the story?
No, the stories like this. Stories like this.
We'll start with the beginning of this. Monty was my good friend. We joined the club. Well, I joined first about 1965. We had an International 210. I bought it over at the San Francisco Yacht Club for $400. I bought it for the price of the sails, and I was going to join the San Francisco Yacht Club, but they wouldn't allow the boat on the dock, so there was one over here at Highland Brigade, and they said, why don't you come over here and join the Corinthian Yacht Club. They just had finished the dock, and it was nice dock, new hoist, so we ended up joining over here, and that was 1965, in February.
So you dry docked the boat?
The boat was dry sailed, yeah.
Okay.
It weighed 3,000 pounds. It's a 30-foot long boat, double engine, and planing hull. It was a nice, fast boat, spinnaker. Usually sail with 4 people. So this group of friends were all ex-Sea Scouts from San Francisco, and we ended up with 3 boats on the dock, 3 210s, the Javelin, the Highland Brigade, and we all had crew, 4 crews, 12 people, and girlfriends, and we had a pretty good group here. And we made the bar pretty ruckus there. And so Charlie White was the Commodore, and he really liked us. And he and Virginia holding court there. So a lot of other members didn't like us, but the older members were a little astounded. We got a little boisterous in the club there. We were all pretty young. 20 years old, 21. So,
Were you racing every weekend?
during the summer, every weekend, midwinters, we'd race too. Cool. And, but we'd work on the boats, paint them up. We'd do a lot of work on the dock, which did get to one story, which I'll get up with. That when we started working on the boat, one time, this was my bad story. They said the dock had just been cemented, brand new cement. So they decided you had to have a tarp down if you're going to do any painting. They didn't have a tarp big enough so they went salvaging around in the dumpster. And somebody had thrown away a big American flag, huge. So I got the American flag out, put it down on the ground, underneath the boat. And World War II members here saw that and went berserk, George Batisevich was one, and I said, well, I just got it out of the garbage, I didn't know, this is Vietnam days, I'm sorry. I didn't think about it. I really apologize. I know what it means to you, so. Anyway, got rid of the American flag. It was pretty dumb. But again, like I said, I got it out of the garbage. I wasn't thinking I couldn't paint the boat unless I had a tarp. So. Anyway, we had a great time here. Every weekend we were over here. Sunday nights they'd have a buffet, and we'd have 15, 20 people in our group having dinner.
Were there Friday night races at that time?
No, there were no Friday night races there. There were just the weekends.
Okay.
Club didn't have much activity other than that. These were mostly some water A races that we were doing.
So you guys had lockers in Ammonia Alley?
We had one locker in front that we pretty much shared at the beginning, and then later on, I bought I was working on boats. Well, I'll go back again. At the time, I was a commercial fisherman. Previously, I'd worked, well, a good bit. When I started, I was working on the Balclutha, square rigger ship over in the Fisherman's Wharf, and I was a night watchman. And,
Yeah, you said you were a night watchman starting at 14?
Yeah, 14 I started. We used to work for $1 a day, and, doing rigging and painting and different things on the ship. The volunteer basically, but $1 a day. You get $5 at the end of the week, and the older guys we'd go out and buy some beer. So anyway, they decided that the older guys were getting to do the night watchman, so they'd all went off to Vietnam. So that's how I got the chance. They didn't think I was 14. They thought I was 18. I looked like it. So at the beginning, you just sort of put the gate up at night from the gangway and go to sleep. But after that, they decided you have to have a clock and punch the clock every hour at different stations around the ship. So you have to stay awake, which made it hard to go to school the next day. But we managed. I did it for 2 years, about a year. And then my high school got the idea that that was too much for me. So they decided that I should either quit my job or quit high school. So I quit high school. So I decided to be a commercial fisherman then. So once I started to be a commercial fisherman, I started making pretty good money. And that's how I was able to buy a boat and
What kind of fishing?
a drag boat out of Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah.
Worked for Palladini Company on the Henrietta Palladini. It was a fishing boat, about 60 feet.
And from there you bought your own boat?
Yeah, but, well, I was a partner in a whale boat, whale boat. It was about 14 of us as the partners over in San Francisco. But, there's 14 of us in that. We'd sail it. We used to keep it in San Francisco Marina, the whale boat. But at the end, it was just about 5 of us sailing it. And it had a lug rig, what they call a dipping lug rig. You have to dip the lug every time you tack, and they had oars for propulsion, so you'd have to row it. So, matter of fact, I didn't have a rudder at the beginning. We had a sweep oar to steer. So it was pretty primitive.
Well, you guys must have been in great shape.
Yeah, we were in great shape. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we were in good shape. So anyway, then we bought the 210,
And that's the one that brought you to the Corinthian?
that's the one that brought me to the Corinthian. And so I got to, like I say, I was a fisherman then, and I guess I was about 18. I started working on boats at the Corinthian. And fellow Bill Gilbert was the first one. I did a lot of work for him. He had a canard here on EDOT. And I was working with different people around the harbor. But Bill was one of the best customers and a good friend. He became a good friend. And later I bought his boat from him in 1971, I guess it was. Yeah, 1971. And I got married in 1971 too. I bought a house in 1971. And I also started a boatyard in 1971.
What was the boatyard called?
It was called Channel Marine. It was in Sausalito. It was Ron Anderson. It was his old boatyard, but he quit. most people around here call it the hippie boatyard because I had long hair then and longer hair.
What part of, is it where Anderson's boatyard was later, or?
No, it was at Gate 3, where Arquez property is, behind Molly Stone's.
Right,
Looks like a junkyard. Still is.
still,
Hasn't changed one bit. I got out of there because it was falling apart then. That was 1973, 79 is when I got out of there. Because I couldn't get insurance and the fire department was closing me down and so the city didn't like me. And so anyway,
was it boat repair or boat building or both?
well, we built one boat there. I had a partner. We built a 30-foot planing boat called the Black Sioux. But mostly it was repair. And then we rebuilt one boat that was a 38-foot Mason design. It was from the Orient. Came off the ship. It was sank right at the dock. Wooden boat. And so we completely rebuilt that boat. Took all the planks off and started from scratch, basically.
When you left Sausalito, which, is that the move to San Rafael?
No, that I had bought another boat, a 42-foot boat in 1971 also. We were sitting around at the boatyard one afternoon, and somebody says, "Well, you hear the buy of a lifetime." I said, "Well, no, I haven't heard buy of a lifetime." I said, "Tell me about it." So anyway, he told me about this boat, and I knew it. It was called the Volante. It was a 42-foot sloop. Used to be at the St. Francis Yacht Club. He said, "Well, I think you can get it for $5,000. I said, "Well, I better go look at it." So I went over and looked at it, and I can't believe you could get it for $5,000, but so I went and talked to the yacht broker the next day, and he told me about it. I said, "Well, I don't have $5,000, but how about $1,500 down and $125 a month?" So then he said, "The owner will take it." I said, "Oh, and by the way, he'll finance it too. No interest."
Oh.
Wow.
I said, so I had a boat, another boat, I have 3 boats now.
Concurrently, but the same,
I had a boatyard. So had the NAR and I had the 210. I finally sold the 210.
How would you choose which one to race? You have to
Well,
rotate them around?
obviously I couldn't race them all. I was
Right.
racing the NAR mostly. The other boat was, we sailed it, we didn't race it.
Okay. How'd you do in the NAR fleet?
We did pretty well. We never won the season championship, but we took second in the internationals one year. Won the internationals with other people a number of times.
Cool.
Crew, being their tactician. Not a number, I'd say through 2 times.
So yours was a wooden one, of course, not a fiberglass?
Yeah, mine was, the first boat I had was number 47. It's called Nordley's. And when Bill Gilbert had it, we moved the mast forward 13 inches. And that really changed the boat. It always had a big weather helm, but moving the mast made a big difference.
And that's class legal to do?
Yeah, it was class legal at the time. They finally, I ended up, when I had the boatyard, I became the NAR doctor. That's how I.
Okay,
Well,
but
so
you'd put some
the
extra,
NAR
or you
fleet's-
put some extra lead in the other boats, the competition?
No, but this boat was, I mean, it was really fast upwind. It was incredible. But it had, I accidentally got there was a mast builder over in Sausalito, Nils Erickson, and he had built a mast, real light mast, and the person who had it broke in half. And he says, "Well, I'll put it back together for you for $100 or something like that. So I didn't, I had to do that, and that was the lightest mast I ever, I got that mast, and the boat just
Wow.
took off after that.
Why was it so light? How did he make it?
It was light wood, and just minimum dimension all the way around.
Okay. Nice.
But yeah, it was like, I forget the weight was like 66 pounds. It was just about 10 pounds lighter than anybody else's.
In addition to the racing, did you do all the social stuff at the club, you and your wife?
We did some, but I'll be honest, we didn't do a lot of the Commodores, the balls or any of that. We did the eggnog parties, that kind of stuff, but we didn't really get too involved with the social stuff. Crab feed, the odd stuff. We didn't do too much of the clubs. I did a lot of the NAR activities, I have to say. The NAR fleet kept you pretty busy in the NAR.
My understanding is an incredibly active fleet.
Yes, especially when John Culver, that group got in there. I mean, we had parties, here, at this club, and San Francisco Yacht Club, St. Francis.
You did the international events where they would come over.
Yeah, every 3 years we'd have internationals here, and then I did well here in '87, and I went to Oslo in '87. And actually they did a fundraiser for me here, me and Monty, my friend there, to help us get over there. And, I forget what they called it, but
Bob Thalman still signs his email with his sale number.
right.
This is still, after all of this time.
Yeah, I mean, when it was a commitment to Narfleet. But getting back to the Corinthian, I mean, the Corinthian that we started out, it's a tight knit club at the beginning. I mean,
How
we
many,
made a lot of friends here.
how many members were there at the time you joined in '65?
65, the club was pretty well down. It wasn't a lot of, they were down to about 200 members, I think. I mean, active, there wasn't that many members at all. On the books, I think there were about 200 or something. But financially, the club was in bad shape. And Bob Baines, he was the secretary, treasurer. And I had an auto accident in 1966, right after I joined the club, actually. And they almost threw me out, actually. 'Cause I couldn't pay my-
You weren't paying?
Huh?
You weren't paying?
Couldn't pay my dues. I was in the hospital for 2
Yeah,
years.
well, you
almost.
could.
For 2 years?
Yeah.
Damn.
Holy moly, okay.
So, I was in the hospital from 66 to 68, in and out, but mostly the first year, pretty much in the hospital.
So they treated you like you were on a leave of absence?
Sort of at the end, they were like I said, they were going to kick me out originally.
But there was a chance you were going to catch up, so they took you back.
I don't know how it worked out. So I had some friends that did some talking for me. Also, my so-called friends were charging on my account. I didn't know about this.
No.
So you're getting bills for drinks that you didn't have.
That is such a sailor thing to do. That's terrible.
So I wasn't paying much attention at that time anyway. So
Yeah, I would imagine you were kind of busy.
yeah, I was burned pretty badly.
So Al, did you do any of were you ever on any committees or race committee or anything like that?
I did some help on race committee. I never was full-time on a race committee. I was always racing myself. But, pretty much raced steadily. I raced for the club. We did a perpetual cup with the Skylark one year.
Did you bring the trophy over here?
No, we didn't make it that time. We were racing against,
Okay.
well, Steve Snyder had the boat. We raced.
He's good.
We raced against Jake Wasser. He pretty much cleaned our clock. But then we did win the Lipton Cup, Junior Lipton Cup, with Santana's, with Keith Buck's boat, Santana 22.
Oh, yes, yes.
We did that one year. And then with the boat, the Volante, we won the Master Mariners Cup trophy one year, the Billiken Cup. And like I said, then we took second in the internationals in '71.
That's a heck of a commitment. I mean, to race that often in that many venues.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, I raced for the Yankees almost all the time.
do you still race?
Not right now, no. My knees are bad. I can't get around too well.
Wait, you're the skipper. You can steer the boat.
I don't have a boat anymore.
Okay.
That's-
I mean, I've been offered to, be tactician on boats and stuff, but I just haven't taken them up on it. But
Yeah, when I blew my tendons, I had to step off a boat because I couldn't grind, couldn't jump a halyard.
yeah,
You know, all I could do was stand in the back and try and tell people what to do, and that was not.
yeah, I blew both of my tendon, both of my shoulder. For that.
Same, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You thinking to get another boat in the future?
No, my wife doesn't. The current wife, she doesn't like it too much.
My best friend taught me at a young age, just go out and buy whatever you want, and at least you'll have it.
Yeah,
You'll get grief, but you'll have it.
yeah. Well, it's true. I might someday.
What sort of boat would you get?
Right now, I'm not sure. There's not too many around that I'd like. I've been sailing right now in this Cabo Rigo 38. He's got it set up pretty nice for two people. The fellow I sail with, he's 86, and he's got one of these leisure furl booms,
Okay.
roller furl,
Rolling furls,
jib, an electric winch, everything's it's pretty nice.
Right.
Two guys.
Self-tacking jibs can be interesting too.
Well, it's got a self-tacking staysail, but I mean, you do have to tack the jib, but,
Mhm.
and that's manual winch, but the halyard, and the sail comes down and it booms pretty fast.
Have you ever done Master Mariners?
Yeah, Sam
Yeah,
did
they
I did
won
a number of times.
Yeah. No, I've done that, volunteered my boat. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
Learned so much.
I would assume you've seen just about every kind of boat there is to see. How long did you own a boatyard?
All told, about 20 years, 25 years, yes.
And pretty much everything came through one time or another?
Different times, yeah.
It must have been kind of interesting to see which ones were bad and which ones were good. I don't know if that's making any sense, but it's like I would assume a Ferrari mechanic.
Well, I mean, they're, the older production boats were pretty good. At the beginning, they were overbuilding them, Now, then they went to a period where they were underbuilding them, and now they're back to, they build a pretty nice boat. So the newer boats are pretty good.
Did you ever do any cruising?
Yeah, I took the Volante, I took to Mexico for 3 years. We spent 3 years there. That was nice.
Were you on her full time or are you back and forth?
Pretty much full time, but we did come back one summer, spent the summer working here to get some money back. But we had, we had bought a house in Sausalito in 71, but
Oh yeah.
and, that turned out to be a gold mine, so So we were able to rent that out and get enough money out of it.
So you could stay on board in Puerto Vallarta, wherever it was?
Yeah, cruise. I mean, we could.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah, well, it's pretty cheap after you're not driving your car and paying insurance and all that stuff. It's pretty cheap to live.
What moved you into surveying?
Well, again, I was stopped working on boats, so it just seemed natural. A friend of mine kept pushing me that way. Actually, a fellow here, Carl Lang, I don't know if you remember him.
No.
He was a Coast Guard. In about 1985, I was around here. I'd gotten divorced from my first wife, and I was here a lot, living on my boat, and down on A-line, and he approached me about, you know, would I like to do surveying. So he was going to do the paperwork, I was going to do the surveying. So we tried it a little while, and I decided, nah, I'd be doing all the work, he'd be getting all the money, and I'd be, just forget this idea. So I just went back to working on the boats. But then later on, my knees started bothering me. I couldn't work on boats much longer, so I started just surveying. Came up pretty good. I joined SAMS, the Society of Marine Surveyors. It was the SAM, Society of Accredited Marine Surveyors.
Can I ask you, what was the first cooks and waiters you went to?
The first one I went to was 67, 68.
How would you describe it compared to now?
Well, I haven't been to one for a while.
It's in February. It's in February.
No, I mean, I haven't been one for...
I'm just saying it's coming up.
Well, it was pretty much, it was more drinking of a drinking man's thing in the 60s, playing cards and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's when it was all weekend, right?
It was all weekend, yeah. You started on Friday, pretty much Friday night, and went all weekend. I don't know how those guys, I thought I was a big drinker, but boy, those guys, old guys could they put me under the table. I couldn't.
Did you play poker?
I didn't play poker, but those, like I said, the older guys, Tony Sousa.
Did you ever wear the bear outfit?
Hmm?
Yeah, they have the bear outfit. Some guy has to dress up as a bear.
I don't remember that.
Okay, so you were drinking.
I was drinking then. Oh yeah, those days I drank a lot. That's how I got my auto accident.
Oh shoot.
You said you lived aboard, and I assume it was sort of permissible at the club to be a liveaboard
Well,
back then.
Well, it wasn't. Well, it wasn't. Nobody said anything. Let's put it that way. I don't think it was frowned. It wasn't outright said not to, but everybody knew I was living aboard. It was myself, and there was another couple living on A-line. And Monty, this friend of mine, Monty, he was living on a boat on A-line. So there was three people, I think. But they thought it was good security, actually. But nobody said it. I mean, nobody. And then later on, there was Kirimo. They actually made him the harbor master. And he lived on his boat for a couple of years there, I think. And he got a girlfriend. She was living on the boat with him. So.
Then I think he moved to Hawaii, didn't he?
Yeah, he's in Hawaii now.
Yeah, that's. Yet now in the bylaws it says simply not allowed.
Yeah.
You can't do it. I think, boy, that's kind of sad. It'd be fun if we had people that were actually around here full time. But
Yeah. Was that a Belvedere thing, or is that this club thing?
it's the club. Every marina can make its own rules. But up against city laws. As you know, Sausalito liveaboards are illegal according to the city. and every marina makes an exception,
Mhm.
as long as you don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So Al, when you first joined, were women members also?
No, they weren't members. They were just spousal. I
So
mean, they
do
were
you-
spouse.
I'm representing Utah. She always likes to ask this question.
Yeah.
So what was the changeover like when the women became members? What was that like?
I didn't notice anything too much.
Okay.
Myself, I mean, I didn't notice anything.
Okay. So it was a smooth deal.
Did you mention about our little women against men race?
No,
Tell me about it.
Oh, it was one night we were drinking in the bar in Utah, and Rosalind had done some race and they won. And I shot my mouth off and said, "Oh, I guess we'll have to race against the women now." So, and John Culver and Peter Birnbaum and myself. So the club took it up as a big challenge. They made a big thing out of it. The newspaper, they had a newspaper reporter, big
Yeah.
dinner.
really?
People were following us around.
So there was a race, men team, women teams
Right.
kind of thing?
Right. So
How'd the men do?
Culver, and,
How'd the men do in the race?
well, we sailed into a hole over behind Angel
So you
Island.
lost.
We lost.
Oh,
Oh, John Culver, he was a fit to be tied.
How many
Peter Young, Birnbaum.
how many boats were in that race?
It was just us.
just the two of us with the
Okay.
three guys and the three women?
Yeah, 2 boats. It was
Yeah, right.
Ranger 23s. And the whole club following us around. What an embarrassment. I thought it was fun. So,
That's,
now that I said it, I can see that.
No, this
That's-
is the kind of stuff we want to know about. You know?
But I mean, I had a big dinner. Oh God, Jesus! I remember John saying, "I owe this whole embarrassment to Al Blair."
Well, who was steering?
John was steering the boat.
So why is he blaming you? He was driving.
I was a tactician. I sailed him into the hole. He didn't want to go in there, into Angel Island. Better current in there, but the wind died. You know.
Oh, okay.
But neither one of us remembered what the course was. We both sailed to the wrong mark. So. And the guys.
Well, they didn't put up flags?
No, I mean, we eventually went to the right mark, but we were going to the wrong mark.
I hate it when that happens.
you said there was a dinner that went with this and everything?
Oh,
They
it was a
made-
big dinner, and there was a newspaper article, some newspaper columns.
That's precisely the kind of thing we're seeking to preserve, that people don't forget. I could just imagine, you had newspaper coverage, there was a dinner, there was a fleet following you guys around behind Angel.
Oh, and there was a pool on it too. It was a,
Yeah.
there was a, what do you call it, a Calcutta pool, that betting on it.
Yeah, right.
So somebody made some money, I don't know who it was, I forget who it was.
So how many years did you have to hear about it? How many years did they give you grief?
Oh, no, it was over, I thought it was over right away, but at least my wife at the time, she didn't give me a bad time about it. We took it in great and fun, but I don't know about the other people.
Good times.
That's terrific. And like many things around here, it started in the bar.
Yeah, it started at my big mouth, yeah. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. I thought it was a lot of fun. I never laughed so hard. We got in there, we were 2 minutes ahead of them. And we sailed into a hole and then they went around us as we sat there.
What's the problem for being in the lead? You can sail into a hole.
We were patting ourselves on the back, but you know, how are we gonna slow down so we could get our money back? Pool. At times Didn't get your money back.
But you stacked up against some good competition. I mean, Rosalind's a hell of a sailor.
Yeah, both of them.
But yeah, they know what they're doing. It's not
Yeah.
like you're going up against the waitress.
No, we went down later. They did a race down in Monterey. We went down with them. Trying to think what that was. It was a ladies' race in Monterey. And Donna Cardoza, she was on the boat too. Dick Cardoza was alive then. Well, she's Donna Block now.
When did you give up the boatyard?
Well, I lost the lease in 2000, so 18 years ago. I guess. Then I started working. I had another shop across the street. That didn't work out too well. So I guess I kept doing the boat work for another 10 years. And doing survey work at the same time. Then I just decided to retire. My knees were giving me a bad time.
Club members utilize the boatyard? They bring you their boats, or did you?
Yeah, I used to tow a lot of boats. I used to come down and deliver boats, pick them up and deliver. It was a 7-day-a-week, 14-hour day job. I had a little towboat. I don't know if you know Bill Garvey.
No.
He had the yard before me in San Rafael, and he was a boat builder. And he had built a tugboat, and I had the little tugboat, 26-footer, and I'd come down on the weekend and I'd tow boats back and forth. So sometimes I'd have 2 or 3 NARs pick up, get a little hectic at the other end. But I had it down pretty good. I didn't do too much damage.
What was the last race you did?
Last race? Geez, I can't remember. It's a while back.
NAR race, or?
No, I haven't raced NARS for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, probably on Yucca would be my guess.
Yeah, I guess that would be the last race, but that's about seven years ago, I guess.
How'd you guys do?
Oh, thank you. I wouldn't say he'll always win, but pretty close to it.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
good competitor.
Very competitive.
Were you ever part of the what they call the Pelicans? The guys that came down and worked on the club?
Yeah, I never was part of the actual group, but I helped out sometimes. Yeah. I didn't actually join the group, but did work on some of the projects with them.
They'd talk you into coming down and swinging a hammer?
Yeah. Yeah, they did some good projects, I thought. Howard kept them going. Howard Faulkner. He spent a lot of time here, Howard Faulkner.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of old guys, a lot of old, Commodores. But when I joined Merrimatasage, he was the one that was the worst of the bunch. They still have a Merrimatasage Day over at San Francisco. But they lost a lot of members here from Merrimatasage.
Yes?
Why?
Oh, he was just mouthy and just he'd bring your date here. What are you doing with this bum? He'd
Well,
run you down.
was it his sense of humor, or was he just a mean guy?
No, he's a sense of humor, but
Yeah.
I don't know. He was into everything. But a number of guys, the NAR guys especially, there were 2 or 3 that were members to the Corinthian that went over there right away. One guy, Tony Gazzardo, he was the one that saved me from he was on the board of directors, I guess. When they tried to kick me out, he was the one that saved me from getting kicked out of here. But he ended up going over there to San Francisco. Still a member there.
the clubhouse has evolved quite a bit according to the photos and the archives I've been looking at. When I joined, it's pretty much the way it is now. It's kind of like a yacht club out of the movies.
Mhm.
But I've been told that prior to this, it was not the same.
No, when they did a remodel in the 70s, John Culver pretty much, I don't know if he was the architect of it, but it came out a whole different, it looked like a yacht club when it was done. I mean, the new doors, and varnished doors, everything was tip top with code,
So he took it up. a notch.
wainscoting, and yeah, he did a lot of special work here.
I'm told that the floor in the ballroom, actually it was Culver himself that told me this story. The floor in the grand ballroom was donated by his company, Tishman Spires.
Yeah,
And after it was installed, he waited 2 years and then told them that they donated the floor.
yeah, he's well, he arranged for the financing and all that too. So some people weren't too happy about that, I guess.
Yeah, that raises a kind of weird point. It seems that there are cycles in this club where there's a lot of politics and then no politics. There's a lot of politics and then everybody's just interested in racing and screw it. Have you seen those kind of cycles?
Yeah, many times. It comes and goes, but sometimes, like, I forget which Commodore it was, but Maxwell, I guess, he wanted to build an apartment for the Commodore up on the side of the hill here.
What?
He thought the Commodore should have his own, because he had to be here so often, he should have an apartment for the Commodore.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, really?
Kind of like the captain's house up on the top for a while.
Well, not on the property, it's on the side here.
Right,
Okay.
right. And so there should be an apartment for the Commodore.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was. I'm not 100% sure how he worded it, but that's, I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
And there was some objection, I take it?
Yeah, there was a lot of objection. He was serious about it.
Got to give the guy credit for trying.
Yeah. But anyway, there's all kinds of. I've always tried to avoid the politics. Being in the boatyard business where you have to play both sides. I don't want to be involved.
That's true too, huh? It's just,
I've seen too many people who come in and be Commodore and they don't go out being that friend, their friends, they're around the club a lot and then they're Commodore and then a lot of them just leave, they're gone. Too much animosity after they're gone, after they've been Commodore.
it's funny, not to inject a story, but in the 25 years I've been here, one of the things I've noticed is many of our Commodores, after they leave, they're gone from the club for a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have to go away and recover before they come back and do anything.
Right. Takes a lot out of you.
The wounds and whatever are such that they just walk away from the place until they recover.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I mean, it's a beautiful place, and I think the most interesting thing about this club is the people, the kinds of sailors that we have. How would you identify this club as compared to the St. Francis?
Well, I don't know that much about the St. Francis, but they're more social. They've gone, from sailor club to a more social club. But this club has gone that way too a little bit.
Think so?
I mean, it goes through. I mean, we used to have a lot more power boats in the club, and we used to have like a baseball game between the power boats and the sailboats. There used to be a bigger back and forth between the makeup of the club.
Where would y'all play the baseball?
I forget, it was on Angel Island, they had it, this was years and years before I was.
So it'd be the powerboat guys and the sailboat guys opposite team?
Yeah. So what do they call it, stink
So-
potters against the sprags.
So how did the sailors do?
I forget how it went, but we did it once over here in Tiburon,
Okay.
Tiburon Park.
Okay.
Didn't come out that good. We had like a club picnic over there.
Okay.
Forget what year that was.
So it was friendly.
And this, yeah, it was friendly. Yeah, it was a friendly game.
It wasn't competitive.
No, it wasn't. It was just a fun game. But I think this is a lot more friendly club. But they get into more politics over there anymore. A lot of the NAR sailors got to be Commodores over to St. Francis. Knowing them personally, the one in particular, he just had 2 sets of clothes. He just come home and change clothes, go to some function every night. I mean, it's just like he didn't know what he was doing. He lost another one, and by the time he was finished being Commodore, he lost his business because he spent so much time being Commodore.
Ooh.
He ended up almost going bankrupt. So,
Kind of what I was getting at is it strikes me that the sailors, the Corinthian sailors, are a pretty informal bunch. And they really like to just get out there and sail.
right.
Race when they can, sail otherwise.
Yeah.
And they're not, hate to use words like that, but they're not snooty, they're not, these are real sailors.
Well, you find that in most clubs, you find that. There's a group, but then there's also a group of somebody who wants to be in charge. And that's who's usually
Well said. Well said.
wants to run the place.
Do you come back here very often?
I haven't recently, I'd be honest with you. I've been having a lot of trouble with my health lately, but I don't know, been working on my house a lot, stuff like that. And I don't have a boat, I'm not racing.
You can solve that problem easily.
I know, just go out and buy a boat.
Yeah.
It takes money though.
$125 a month
Yeah,
and $1,500 down. You've done it before.
yeah, I know. The boat I found there ended up costing me quite a bit more than that. I had to take the whole deck off, the interior, put new keel bolts in it, new mast, new sails.
Purchase price is just the initiation fee.
Yeah. Had to put a new engine in it.
Oof.
But I got a lot of use. I had it for 30 years. So.
Holy moly, that's longer than any of my marriages. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this, Al.
Okay.
So for the new guy who's thinking to join this yacht club, what would you say to the new person about Corinthia?
I'd say it's a good club. Come on over.
Cool.
I wish I could be here more often. I'd love it. It's a great place.
Where are you living now?
San Antonio. Not
Okay.
that far away.
Okay.
I wish I could be here more often.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Okay.
And do you have Uber on your phone? You can just punch a button.